Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Bond Court is now in session.
All right, good afternoon, sir. Please state your name.
Do I have to keep this on? Okay. My name is James Jason DeGraw, capital D, E, capital G, R, A, W.
All right, thank you, Mr. DeGraw. You've been charged with criminal mischief. You do qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter?
What I told them earlier, it's starting to, mask is slipping off, is that I would like a public defender,
Okay.
but they didn't have a woman working. So I said I would try to defend myself, but I would be willing. The public defender you have working today with the blue tie looked like a nice man, and hopefully he's capable of protecting me, which is his job. I'd rather he do that than myself.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Again, you've been charged with criminal mischief. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $500, and I'm going to require that you not return to the Premier Couples Store located at 5009 South Orange Blossom Trail.
That's who reported it? Was it Premier Couples?
That's where the incident that led to your arrest occurred. All right, Mr. DeGraw, your release paperwork, when you bond out, will have information on your next court appearance.
Yes.
This will not be your attorney. It will be somebody from the Public Defender's Office who's assigned to the division where
Hopefully a
your
woman.
case is going to be heard.
Hopefully.
So it's your job to make sure you reach out to them before your court date.
And how will I find out how to reach them?
The information that he
That's
just
circle.
handed to, yes, sir.
Beautiful.
All right,
Thank you,
please
Judge.
follow this officer out the blue door.
Thank you. That was easy, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Please state your name.
Hidros? Hidros Khabib, ma'am.
All right, sir. And you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And have you worked out a plea agreement on this case?
Yes, Your Honor. There was an offer, an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and no return. I spoke with Mr. Khabib before court, and he wished to resolve today with a no contest plea.
Okay.
He's signing the form now. No, that one's yours. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you. All right, Mr. Khabib, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney?
Spoke to the gentleman as my attorney just earlier.
Okay. And from where you're standing, is that your signature on the form?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
During my arrest, I did have a 4-pack of natural ice, which made me angry, and that's why I kind of got arrested for trespass.
But right now, you're okay? You're not under the influence of anything right this moment?
Yes, ma'am. I'm done. I'm fine. I'm in
Okay.
good conscience.
Great. And is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
No, ma'am. I understand the time served offer.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
I've been a citizen as of 2002. I'm originally from Africa, but I'm a citizen since 2002.
I just have to advise everyone, I don't ask about your citizenship, I just have to make sure that you understand.
Oh.
And sir, are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, ma'am.
All right, on the charge of trespass on property after warning, how do you plead?
No contest?
I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs and give you credit for time served of 2 days. 2 days. And are you currently employed, sir?
I get SSI.
SSI? All right, I'll reduce the court cost to a civil judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That means I'll be going home today?
I'm sorry, what?
I'll be going home today?
Yes, sir, they'll have to process you. It'll take a little bit of time, but you'll be processed.
Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. You'll go out the other door, Mr. Khabib. All right, please step forward and tell me your name.
All right, yeah, Slaughter.
All right, Mr. Slaughter. Is he qualified?
Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer? I
Yes.
didn't get a chance to speak with Mr. Slaughter. Your Honor, can Mr. Slaughter come back at the end of the move-up list, just so he has a chance to read through the plea form?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'll appoint the public defender to represent you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Ms. Jones was mental health.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I've read she's been charged with DUI with personal injury. I reviewed the complaint. I find probable cause. I'll set bond in the amount of $1,000. Please state your name, sir.
Julio Cesar Enriquez Perez.
Have you already been appointed?
Your Honor, my name is Luz Root. I'm a private attorney. I was retained early this morning to represent Mr. Enriquez Perez. We will file a notice of appearance later today.
Okay. All right, sir, you've been charged with operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. I reviewed the complaint. I do find probable cause. I'll set bond in the amount of $500. And in case number 2021 MM 8117AO, I'm going to revoke the bond and double it, and so it'll now be $1,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have Garvin as medical.
All right, the public this was an arraignment. The public defender's already been appointed.
Yes, Your Honor, we'll waive the appearance and enter a plea of not guilty.
All right, then it'll be set for a pretrial conference in the assigned division.
It'll be Division 80 is July 25th at 9 o'clock in courtroom 9C.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Lamar approved.
All right, Mr. Lamar, the Office of the Public Defender has already been appointed to represent you. This is the arraignment on your disorderly conduct charge.
We'll enter a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay. You didn't want to resolve it?
No, Your Honor, I believe there's comp concerns.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll set it for pretrial conference in Division 85.
It'll be July 11th at 9 o'clock in courtroom 4A.
And so, was there a monetary bond previously set? Is that why he's here? But you said you thought you had competency, so we'll do ROR.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Barton was a bond. She bonded. Brassfield refused.
All right, in Brassfield, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent her.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I find probable cause, I'll stay the bond at $500.
Your Honor, may we recall Mr. Slaughter
Yes.
to resolve?
If you could just step back, sir, we're gonna take this gentleman and then we'll take you. Thank you. Yeah, just stay right there for right now. Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, I did speak with Mr. Slaughter briefly, as I mentioned, and he did review the plea form for that amount of time, so he's signing the plea form now. The offer to resolve is an adjudication of guilt, time served, and no return. I'd like to enter a plea of no contest. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you. All right, Mr. Slaughter, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. You had the opportunity to read it? From where you're standing, is that your signature on the
Yes, sir.
form?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs,
No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am.
alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking? Is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea agreement today? You actually have to answer out loud so that the court reporters pick it up.
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, ma'am.
Okay. On the charge of trespass on property after warning, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to
Okay, no.
adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 2 days. I'm going to require that you not return to 5521 Lejeune Drive, Orlando, Florida. Oh, yeah, and with respect to your court costs, are you employed, sir?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'll reduce it to civil judgment.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, ma'am, if you'll please step forward and tell me your name.
My name is Jasmine Alexis Brigham.
All right, Ms. Brigham, she qualify? You qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Sure.
Oh, you didn't fill out the form. You want to see if you qualify?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any dependents?
Kids?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, how many?
2?
Under 18 or over?
Yes. Under?
Under 18? And what is your monthly income?
Currently, nothing, but I'm gonna, I can get employed.
Okay, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with trespass on property after warning. I reviewed the arrest affidavit, and I did find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500, and I require that you not return to the store located at 520 South Orange Blossom Trail. And if you wanted to resolve the case today, or do you,
I believe she's on probation, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
she's on probation?
On probation.
Okay, we can't then. All right.
Can you repeat the address for our client, Your Honor?
It was 520 South Orange Blossom Trail. It doesn't say what that store is.
I understand, Your Honor. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, write your name on there for me, please. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
You in a few minutes.
Please state your name.
Jose Colon.
Mr. Cologne, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you've been charged with possession of cannabis, less than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting an officer without violence. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'll set bond in the, stay the bonds. It was count one was 150, count 2 was 150, and count 3 was 1,000. And I'm going to revoke your bond in case number 2022 CF 5393AO.
Your-
And I do see that there is a co-defendant. I have a note here, there's a co-defendant, so.
There was an offer from the state on the resisting count, withhold and time served. I did speak with Mr. Cologne before court about that offer, and then I believe there'd be an announcement from the state as to the other counts. We did review a plea form. I believe he wishes to resolve with a no contest plea on the resisting count. And because he's participating with judicial procedure in resolving this case today, I would have you take no action on his out on bond case. I don't believe he has a court date.
All right,
I don't think he has a court date on that either, pending.
okay, so
Yes.
what are the terms of the offer?
On,
Your Honor, with regard to 22 MN 4041, counts 1 and 2, count 1 being possession of cannabis under 20 grams, and count 2, possession of drug paraphernalia, the state announces no information. With regard to the out on bond, Your Honor, and that is case number 22 CF 5393. Defendant was arrested May 12th for threatening a public servant is the allegation. And as of this date, the state has not filed formal charges.
Okay.
And the offer to resolve the resisting count was a withhold and time served. May I approach?
You may. All right, Mr. Cologne, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney? From where you're standing, is that your signature on the form that I'm pointing to?
My glasses, but yes, I just signed it.
You just signed it. All right, are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking? Is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea today? Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into the plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense? On the charge of resisting an officer without violence, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'll withhold adjudication. I'll give you credit for time served of 2 days. I'll assess mandatory court costs. With respect to the court costs, are you employed?
No. I'm actually visiting the state.
You're visiting the state? All right, I'll reduce the cost to a civil judgment, and I'll take no action on 2022 CF 5393AO. Good afternoon. Please state your name.
Michael Henry Daniels.
All right, Mr. Daniels, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes.
All right, I will do so. And we've worked it out?
Yes, Your Honor. There was an offer to resolve for Mr. Daniels a withhold and time served for panhandling. I did speak with Mr. Daniels before court and went over the plea form with him. I believe he wishes to resolve today, just has to sign the plea form.
Okay.
That would be with a no contest plea, Your Honor. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you. All right, Mr. Daniels, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney?
Yes.
And you just signed it on the line?
Yes.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No.
Is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea agreement today?
No.
You understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No.
On the charge of soliciting without a permit, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to withhold adjudication. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 2 days and assess mandatory court costs, which I'll reduce to a civil judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
You may.
Your Honor, Jarman is behavior.
Okay. I'll appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Jarman.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause for the petty theft. I'll set bond in the amount of $500.
Your Honor, can I ask for no return to the Walmart at 10500 West Colonial Drive?
Yes.
Thank you.
Order no return to the Walmart at 10500 West Colonial Drive.
Selena Kissoon.
All right, and this is the co-defendant to Mr. Cologne. Do we have a similar offer for her?
Yes, Your Honor. So with regard to 22 MM4048, count 1, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, and count 2, possession of drug paraphernalia, state announces a no information.
All right, ma'am, and I'll appoint the officer, oh,
I apologize, and with regard to count 3, I do apologize. It's a withhold of adjudication and credit time served.
Are we appointed, Your Honor?
yes, you want me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this case?
Yes.
Okay, I'll appoint him.
Your Honor, there were some defenses to the resisting charge that I think we should pursue. So after speaking with Ms. Kissoon, she agreed. And so I would have you set a $100 bond on the resisting and then an ROR on the other 2 counts as they are generally dismissed. Anyway, I know they won't be dismissed today, but an ROR on those 2 charges due to the state's policy of dismissing those.
You may.
Unless this, no.
All right, I'll set bond on the resisting at, because it was gonna be a credit for time served, RR on everything, since she was gonna, you're willing to plea her out today, so.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Please state your name.
Thanks to Shaquanda Deshay Lockhart.
Ma'am, did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender to represent you in this matter?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, do you have any dependents?
Dependents, kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have 4.
Are they under 18 or over?
Yes.
Under
I got
18?
A 17-year-old, 13-year-old, and twin boys that are 9.
All right, and what's your monthly income?
My monthly income, well, as you know, I just recently got out of jail like 4 days ago. And now I'm back in jail, you know, so it's like, it's the police department, Eatonville Police Department just keep harassing me for no reason. They never caught me on property. They never saw me on the property, no nothing. They just arrested me for trespassing. And it's like I'm tired of keep coming to jail and losing freedom behind the police department that keep being, you know what I'm saying, not having proof, not having evidence, and I just have to sit in jail months after months just for everything to be resolved.
Okay, well, let's try to get some resolution today. So, what's your monthly income?
My monthly income right now,
Approximately.
I go to work with my dad sometimes, so I be getting like anywhere from $400 to $300 a week because he do tree service and stuff.
Okay, so $400 a week with 4 children. You do qualify, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. And in this instance, you've been charged with trespass in an occupied structure, violation of condition of pretrial release, and possession of cannabis of less than 20 grams. And so I've appointed the public defender, so before you say anything else, I want you to run it past the attorney, because you may inadvertently say something where you would admit to elements of the offense that you've been charged with.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor?
Yes.
With regard to 22 MM143, possession of marijuana less than 20 grams, state announces a no information.
Okay.
Is there an offer on the trespass but not the PTR violation? Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, can we request bond on the PTR violation and ROR on the trespass? And then in your discretion on action to the out on bond cases, I know they're very recent, but
Well, in the 2022 CF 4260 AO, there's not been an information filed, so I wasn't going to take any action in that one. And then in 2022 MM 117 AE, I was going to double those bonds to 500, 300, 300, but I'll hear from you on not taking any action. But since it's the same offense.
Your Honor, reading the notes on our client here, I believe she has a good faith argument about the harassment that she's receiving from the Eatonville Police Department. So I would have you keep that in mind in your discretion in acting on the out on bond cases.
Okay, I will. And were we going to resolve the trespass? Are you still waiting for an offer?
No, an offer was relayed with regard to the trespass, Your Honor. It was an adjudication, 7 days Orange County Jail, credit for time served, and no return to hometown suites.
We would just ask for a bond, Your Honor.
All right. So based on your representation of a good faith argument for harassment, I won't take any action on 2022 MM 117 AE. And then in 2022 MM 141 AE, trespass in an occupied structure, I'll set bond in the amount of $100. And in 2022 MM 142 AE, violation of condition of pretrial release, I'll set bond in the amount of $100.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Your Honor, Lundy was a bond. He bonded.
Okay.
Masalo?
Please state your name.
Miguel Masalo,
All right. You want to take any qualifies? I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you.
Yes, there was an offer to resolve, Your Honor, on the trespass and resisting. It would be an adjudication of guilt and time served. I did have a chance to speak with Mr. Masala before court, reviewed the plea form. I believe he wishes to resolve no contest today.
And I'll also require no return to the Advent South at 601 East Rollins.
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach?
You may. Mr. Masalo, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. You had the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney,
yes,
and you just signed it at the podium.
yes,
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
no,
Is anyone forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today? Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
yes,
Are you currently on probation for any other offense? On the charges of trespass on property after warning and resisting an officer without violence, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of both offenses. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 2 days. I'm going to assess mandatory court costs, and I'm going to require that you not return to Advent South at 601 East Rollins in Orlando, Florida. And, I said court costs? Oh, I don't know. Are you transient, sir?
yes,
All right, I'll reduce the court cost to civil judgment.
Take care.
Please step forward and, oh,
McDonald bonded. Ms. Parks bonded. Ms. Williams, step up.
all right, please state your name.
Tajane Williams.
All right, Ms. Williams. You qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender. We got an offer, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. The offer to resolve the ordinance violation was an adjudication, time served, which I did speak with Ms. Williams about. I believe she wishes to resolve no contest.
and Your Honor, with regard to 22 MM4059, count 1, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, state announces a no information.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. All right, Ms. Williams, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. You had the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
and you just signed it at the podium?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today? Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense? On the charge of violation of county ordinance, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 2 days, and assess mandatory court costs. Are you employed, ma'am?
No, ma'am, I just moved out here because I came out here to see if I like the area because I'm moving here from Texas.
All right, I'll reduce the court cost to a civil judgment.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer with Mr. Turner?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He's here for FTA. You want to resolve the underlying?
Yes, Your Honor, there's an offer to resolve the underlying petty theft. Offer was an adjudication of guilt, time served, 6 months probation, an impulse control course, a cost of investigation of $112.04, a restitution amount of $845.42, along with court costs. I spoke with Mr. Turner before court and just now, confirming that he wishes to resolve today.
Who is the cost of investigation payable to?
Orlando Police Department.
And so is, what is the purpose of probation? Is it just to complete the impulse control class?
I believe so, Your Honor.
All right, would there be any objection to probation? I just have concern about, we'll be back here for a VOP. If once he completes the impulse control class, probation can automatically be terminated?
No objection from defense.
As long as,
Because I can't make him pay the restitution in the 6 months, you know, I mean, that's not gonna necessarily happen.
no objection, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is there anything I should write at the top about the new stipulation?
No. All right, Mr. Turner, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you just signed it at the podium?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, before I take your plea, also I need to advise you that petty theft is an enhanceable offense. If you receive 2 convictions for a petty theft and commit another one, it can be charged as a felony. You still want to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you've been charged with, well, at any rate, is anybody forcing you to enter into the plea agreement form?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
No, ma'am.
On the charge of petty theft of $100 or more, how do you plead?
Guilty.
I'll accept your plea of guilty. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of the offense. I'm going to place you on 6 months probation. I'm going to require that you complete an impulse control class within 90 days of today. You may take that class online or in person. It's an 8-hour course. If you just do a search for court-ordered impulse control classes, there'll be a bunch of vendors that come up. You can take the one that's most convenient for you. It just has to be an 8-hour course. You'll need to show that certificate of completion to your probation officer. Once you have completed the impulse control class, your probation will terminate automatically upon completion of that condition. You must report to probation within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. I'm going to assess, you agreed to the restitution amount of $845.42 to be paid to the victim,
Michelle Crowley.
Cheryl Crawley.
That's my mama.
You said yes?
Yeah, that's my mama.
All right, and I'm going to assess a mandatory court cost and cost of investigation of $112.04 payable to the Orlando Police Department. What?
I didn't say anything, but can I clarify a point, Your Honor? That
Yes.
his probation will end upon showing proof that he has completed the
Yes.
impulse control class?
I thought that's what I said.
You said upon him completing it, but he needs to be able to show that proof.
I thought I said you have to turn in your certificate of completion to your probation officer.
Okay.
I thought I said that. But if that wasn't clear, sir, that,
I said, Your Honor.
okay, all right, sir. So, with respect to the court costs and cost of investigation, I'm going to give you 6 months to pay that off. If for any reason you're unable to pay it off within that time, report to the clerk's office to set up a payment plan. Now, any payments that you make will first go to the restitution, and then it will go to the court costs and the cost of investigation. And state, the clerk's office is going to need an order on the restitution so they know who to turn over the monies to when they're received.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Any questions? All right, you know you got to report to probation within 24 hours, to complete that class within 90 days, give them the certificate of completion, then your probation will be over.
But one question, when I get this done with, I'll be released today or
Yes, sir.
that's all I'm.
Okay.
How much time serving y'all?
4 days.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, Cobain Reyes bonded.
Thank you. Please state your name, sir.
Angel Insua.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was an offer to resolve this. It was a withhold and time served. I spoke with Mr. Insua before court, and believe he wishes to resolve no contest.
Okay.
Signed in the form now. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. Thank you. All right, Mr. Insua, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. Do you have the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney?
Say out loud.
Yes,
And you just signed it at the podium?
yes,
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
no, ma'am,
Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
nope,
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
yes, ma'am,
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
no, ma'am,
On the charge of open container with alcoholic beverage, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'm going to withhold adjudication. I'm going to give you credit for time served of 2 days, assess mandatory court costs. With respect to the court costs, I'll reduce them to a civil judgment.
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir.
Take care.
Jonathan Andrew Treeland.
All right, Mr. Treeland, would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. And since he's on probation, we can't. resolve it, right?
Not inclined to resolve today, but I would request a low monetary bond as to the charge. It's a panhandling charge.
All right, I reviewed the complaint and there is probable cause. I'll set bond in the amount of $100.
And he also has the violation charge, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take any action on the, or whatever, it's, oh, it's an on view? We don't know what it's for though, right? Because it's out of county.
I believe they did an on-view due to the soliciting charge.
All right, well, with respect to the violation of probation for the Seminole County case, I'll set bond at none.
Your Honor, Ramos de Silva bonded. Skipper, she was released via pretrial release. Vera?
Please step forward, state your name.
Over there, over there.
Tatiana Vera.
All right, ma'am, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Your Honor, there was an offer to resolve.
I'll appoint the public defender.
It is an adjudication of guilt. Credit time served. I spoke with Ms. Vera before court. We went over the plea form and the state's offer, and I believe she wishes to resolve no contest. May I approach the bench?
All right, she's got two cases. She's got the 2022 CT 3324AO, which is driving while license suspended, and then the 2022 CT 3325AO, which is the no motor vehicle registration.
Was the offer to resolve both?
It was at the same time, but they filed it as two cases.
I believe she wishes to resolve both cases, Your Honor, but I'll make a note of that on the form.
The only thing, though, is I do not have, did you review that, do you have a driving record?
I did.
Print it.
Okay.
Because it's a driving while license suspended, and that's an enhanceable offense. Yeah, I don't have a driving record, and it's too soon. Can you get me a driving record? Oh. I didn't hear her say that. Just a minute, she's printing one out so I can review it, just to make sure.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because if you receive 2 convictions, if you get 3 convictions for driving while license suspended, your license can be revoked for 5 years as an habitual traffic offender. But also, after 2, it can be mandatory jail time of 10 days.
Yeah, here you go. Thanks.
Okay, I don't see another duelist on here. But this is not the, this doesn't look like the driving records that I normally see, so I'm not exactly certain how to read this one. But I don't see another duelist on here. So, all right. So just so you know, that there are potential consequences of getting the adjudication. I just want you to be aware of that. Okay,
May I approach, Your Honor?
you may. So it was going to be in both cases, adjudication, credit time served, or?
Sorry, I didn't write the cases on there. I thought they were going to be on the face sheet, but they weren't on there. If the court has it, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Vera, I'm holding up a plea agreement form. You had the opportunity to go over this form with your attorney,
Yes,
and you just signed it while at the podium?
yes,
Are you under the influence today of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that would impair your thinking?
no,
Is anybody forcing you to enter into this plea agreement today?
no,
You understand that if you are not a United States citizen, entering into this plea agreement will subject you to deportation?
yes,
Are you currently on probation for any other offense?
no,
On the charge of driving while license suspended and no motor vehicle registration, how do you plead?
no contest.
I'll accept your plea of no contest in both cases. I'm going to adjudicate you guilty in each case, give you credit for time served, and assess mandatory court costs. As to the court costs, I'll give you 6 months to pay. If for any reason you can't pay it off within that time, report to the clerk's office to set up a payment plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Adams.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Adams. You qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Please.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of a controlled substance. I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause, and I'll stay the bond at $1,000. Now, I have a question. He's got another charge on here, contempt of court, but it's not an Odyssey. I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's child support, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Please follow the officer, sir.
Your Honor, Alice is a refusal.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor. I did have a challenge on the count of third violation. I believe the affidavit must indicate that there have been 2 previous violations before charging as a third. I don't believe that was present in the arrest affidavit. I would have you set bond, or if they don't bond out, to, I know state's entitled to 24 hours.
Your Honor, the court can also find the previous arrest from the face sheet, which is attached. And according to the face sheet, Ms. Alicia has been convicted of prostitution 3 times.
Your Honor, may I rebut? Probable cause must be found within the 4 corners of the arrest affidavit. Documentation need to be taken into account. So I would have you just use the arrest affidavit to find PC for a first violation.
I'll find PC for the prostitution, not the third subsequent violation. I'll stay the bond at 500.
Christian Jonathan Aponte.
All right, sir. Did you want to be, do you qualify? Do you want to be represented by the public defender's office? You want me to appoint them?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is this a PBL?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so, I'll stay the bond at none.
Understanding that, Your Honor, I would still ask for a no contact, no weapons, no firearms.
All right, I'll order no contact with the alleged victim, and I'll require, Mr. Aponte that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and upon your release from incarceration, that you turn over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours, any weapons or firearms that you do own. Please state your name.
D'Angelo Armstrong.
Mr. Armstrong, did you want to see if you qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office?
I have a lawyer, but I just haven't got a chance to give him a call.
Oh, you have your own attorney? All right, you've been charged with attempted second-degree murder. I'm going to stay the bond at none.
Say that again?
I'm going to stay the bond at none. It's a punishable by life offense, so I'm not going to give you any bond right now. So you'll be able to talk to your attorney about it. I'm required that you have no contact with the alleged victim, that you possess no weapons or firearms, and if you are released from incarceration, that you turn over to the Orange County Sheriff's Department any weapons or firearms that you have within 24 hours.
Your Honor.
Yeah.
I know I'm not appointed, but may I be heard as a friend of the court?
Yes.
I believe attempted second-degree murder he is entitled to bond. I don't believe it's punishable by life. Only through recent research have I found that I believe it's punishable up to 30 or 40 years.
That is correct, Your Honor. You don't have to review. It is a first-degree felony punishable by up to 30 years in prison, but he is entitled to a bond, yes.
Okay, because this says PBL. So that's incorrect?
On the face sheet, yes, Your Honor, it is.
Mr. Armstrong, do you want me to set this over to tomorrow so you have the opportunity to confer with your attorney so they can come in and make arguments on your bond amount?
Thank you.
All right, I'll reset it tomorrow for determination of bond.
Hello, my name is Calandra Janicia Antoria Baird.
All right, Ms. Barrett, I see that the public defender has already been appointed in the underlying cases. Judge Bleckman has issued a capias for your failure to appear. He set bond at none, and you have an arraignment scheduled on June 28th.
Okay. Am I being released today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oliver Bozeman.
Mr. Bozeman, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in your new law violation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cocaine. I did find probable cause in the arrest affidavit. I'll stay the bond at 1,000. And because of the similarity of charges in your other case, I'm going to revoke the bond.
No, so how do I get it back?
Your attorney will explain it to you. Please state your name.
Andrew Lee Bryant Jr.
All right. Mr. Bryant, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. I do find probable cause on count one. I'll set bond at 1,000. Count 2, I'll set bond at 100, and count 3, ROR. Please state your name, sir.
Larry Donnell Delaney.
All right, Mr. Delaney, I see that the public defender is already appointed in the underlying case. Do you want me to appoint the public defender for your violation of conditional release?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint him for the violation of conditional release. And the judge in that case set bond at none. And then he's got another case, but it's not on the docket.
Another case.
Yeah, the 2022 CF 6932 AO. Are we supposed to be having,
Oh, that was an add-on charge, Your Honor. He'll be seen on that tomorrow.
okay. All right, please step forward and state your name.
Bruce Iron Necklace.
All right, Mr. Iron Necklace, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. There's 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I'll stay the bond at $3,500 on each of those. And on the burglary of conveyance, I'll stay the bond at $3,500. I'll require that you have no contact with the alleged victims and that you not possess any weapons or firearms. And if you do have any weapons or firearms, that you turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release. If you'll just, whatever you're about to say to me, ask your attorney, and then he'll.
A moment to confer, Your Honor.
Please state your name, sir.
Dow Lincoln.
Mr. Lincoln, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the office of the public defender to represent you?
Excuse me?
Would you like me to appoint the office of the public defender to represent you in this case?
Yes.
All right, I'll do so. All right, sir, you've been charged, you have 2 cases. In the first case, you were charged with possession of cocaine, possession of cannabis greater than 20 grams, possession of drug paraphernalia. And in the second case, you were charged with driving while licensed, suspended while in revocation status. I do find probable cause on the first case. I'll set bond in count 1, $1,000. Count 2, $150, count 3, $150, and in the driving while license suspended, I'll set the bond at $1,000.
Dean Marshall.
Mr. Marshall, would you like to find out if you qualify for a public defender?
I thought I already had one, ma'am.
Well, you may, and do you have it in your other case?
No.
All right, well, do you have any dependents?
Yes.
How many?
5.
5? Are they under 18 or over?
They're all over 18.
Okay, and do you provide the support for anyone else?
Yeah, her mother-in-law lives with us.
All right, and what's your monthly income roughly?
I have no income at this point.
No income? All right, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. So the charge that you're here for right now is grand theft 3rd degree. I do find probable cause. I'll stay the bond at $1,000. But in case number 2021 CF 15878AO, which is also grand theft 3rd degree, I'm going to revoke the bond.
For Sanford, or Seminole County?
No, that's here in Orange.
So there's 2 in Orange?
Now there is.
Okay.
And you did have the PD. The PD was already appointed in the 2021 CF case.
Thank you.
Please state your name.
Tyrese Latrell Nunley.
All right, no. All right, sir, you do not qualify for a public defender. You've been charged with carrying a concealed firearm. I reviewed the affidavit. There is probable cause. You do qualify for a pretrial release, so I'll release you under the PTR program.
Any conditions, Your Honor?
All right, I'm going to require that while you're on PTR, that you not carry any firearms. You need to turn in your weapons. Did they confiscate it during their arrest?
Yeah, they took it.
Okay, and if you have any other weapons or firearms, you need to turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor, Purcell refused.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Purcell.
Waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I'll find probable cause for grand theft third degree and set bond in the amount of $2,500. Please state your name, sir.
Paul Resendiz.
Mr. Resendez, you do qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you? All right, I'll do so. You've been charged with grand theft third degree motor vehicle. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bond at $2,000. All right, Mr. Robinson, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
It don't matter, yes.
You gotta speak just a little bit louder. I couldn't
I
quite.
said, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. And so there is a co-defendant to counsel that's here today. It'll be coming up in a little bit, but I'll appoint the public defender. So, sir, you've been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, assault and battery. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds at $3,500 for count one, $100 for count two, $100 for count three. I'm going to require that you not return to the Dollar General located at 50 South Roslyn Avenue, and that you have no contact with the alleged victim, your co-defendant, and any witnesses. Ask him first.
My question is that, okay.
Your Honor, can I also have a no weapons, no firearm?
I think it was a machete.
Or a bat?
All right, sir, I'm also going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and that if you have any, that you turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release. If you don't have any, that's fine. All right, sir, you're gonna have the opportunity to contest the factual basis. It's not at this very limited proceeding. If you'll please follow the corrections officer out the blue door.
Actually, is it anything 10%? Is it what?
Might be 10%. And Your Honor, as to conflicts, we conflict out later. We can be
Yeah.
appointed preliminarily, and then we conflict later.
Please state your name.
Julian Denise Rule.
Ms. Rule, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter?
Please.
I'll do so. You've been charged with possession of meth and prostitution. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds at $1,000 for count one and $100 for count two.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Roberta Stiles.
Ms. Stiles, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Ma'am, you've been charged with possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll set bond at $1,000 in count one and $150 in count two.
Yeah, okay, pretrial diversion.
Stephen Lynn Sweeney.
Mr. Sweeney, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with burglary of a structure and grand theft third degree. I've reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds at $2,500 for count one and $1,000 for count two. I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, okay, the warrant has no return, and I'll require that too.
Your Honor, Martin refused.
Who?
Rock Martin.
Morton.
Morton.
See it.
Throck. Oh, Throck. Jesus Christ. All right, I'll appoint the public defender.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds at $3,500 for count one and $100 on each of the remaining counts. And I'll require that the defendant not return to the TGI Fridays located at 11951 International Drive. Huh? Yeah. Oh, no, I'll do it at 100. 3, 4, 5, the other 5, 100.
Any action on the add-on bond, Your Honor? On 2022 CF 3050AO.
Your Honor, it is a burglary of an unoccupied dwelling. Defendant was arrested March 19th, but as of today's date, the state has not filed formal charges.
All right, because the state hasn't filed any formal charges in that case, I'll take no action. All right, sir, please state your name.
Malcolm Eugene Tomlin.
All right, Mr. Tomlin, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bond in the amount of $3,500. I require that you not return to the Dollar General located at 50 South Rosalind Avenue, that you not be in possession of any weapons or firearms, and that if you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. I require that you not have any contact with the co-defendant, with the alleged victim, and with any witnesses in the case.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Please follow the officer out the blue door. Please state your name. All right, Mr. Vines, Judge Strobridge issued capias for your failure to appear. She set bond in the amount of none, and you have an in-jail arraignment on June 30th. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
Yeah, you can't give me a bond?
No, Judge Strobridge has set that at no bond, and I'm going to respect what she ordered. Do you want to see if you qualify for a public defender, or do you have a private attorney?
No, let's see if I can qualify.
All right, sir. Do you have any dependents?
No, just my animals.
No. And what do you make on a monthly basis?
It varies,
All right, give me a rough estimate.
like $500 or $600 a month.
$500 or $600 a month? Okay, and that's your only source of income?
Yeah.
And you said it's not consistent, it varies?
Right.
Or you do qualify for a public defender. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Please state your name.
Antonio Maurice White.
Mr. White, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you? I'm sorry, what?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender. You've been charged with possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bond. Well, I'll stay the bond on count one of 1,000, and count two, I'll reduce it to 100.
Thank you.
We got more. Ricky Moore.
You don't have that on our
inmate number?
That was from this morning. I don't know why that's in there. I didn't do that. I didn't have any sheets. Okay, who do we have? What about, is this Pagan Rios? Oh, okay. It doesn't say Spanish. Messing with me.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Laura Royo, State Certified Interpreter and previously sworn.
All right, the defendant has on the headsets. If you can make contact, please.
Connection is established.
Sí.
All right, sir, please state your name.
Alberto Pagan Rio.
Ernesto Pagan Rios.
Mr. Pagan, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like the public defender to represent you?
Sí.
Yes.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with, you have two different cases. In 2022 CF 6962 AO, possession of fentanyl, tampering with physical evidence, and possession of cocaine. And then in case number 2022 CF 6892 AO, you have delivery of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of a school, 2 counts. Sale, delivery of a controlled substance, 3 counts. Unlawful use of a two-way communication device, 2 counts. I reviewed the arrest affidavits. I find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds on the first case. Count 1, $1,000. Count 2, $150. Count 3, $150. In the second case, the first 2 counts are $10,000 each. The first count of selling and delivery of a controlled substance is $7,500, and the remaining 4 counts are $150 each. In case number 2021 CF 6374 AO, the bonds in that case were released when the defendant was referred to pretrial diversion, and I believe that he was unsuccessful on pretrial diversion. Is that correct?
I can double check on it. The most I saw is that he was pre-trial set for July 5th. So I'm looking at the right one.
All right, and State, do you have any recommendation on what we should do in that case? Because I guess he's essentially ROR whenever he was referred to PTD because the bonds were released.
I apologize, Your Honor. Can you give me the number again?
Yes, it's case number 2021 CF 6374 AO.
So a client isn't on bond once they enter pretrial diversion?
I don't know, what the day in the court file, the day he went to PTD, the bonds were released. I don't know if the bonding company moved or what the.
I was just
Yes, Your Honor, it does appear as though he was rejected from pretrial diversion. With regard to the bonds, the clerks would actually be better at happen there. But with regard to that, Your Honor, because he has subsequently picked up 2 more drug cases, I would ask that he be held no bond.
All right, in the existing felony case, 2021 CF 6374 AO, I'll revoke the ROR and set bond at none. And there's a pretrial conference with Judge Roach on July 5th, so you may want to, the PD was already appointed in that case, so you may want to try to get with her sooner.
Your Honor, would you be inclined to set a bond amount? As you mentioned, the bond was discharged when he entered the child version, so theoretically, he may not have been out on bond. He was out on OLR, but he wasn't out on bond. So would you consider just setting a bond amount out on bond case?
The only reason why I'm hesitant to do that is the similarity of the charges and the deadliness of fentanyl, and then now the proximity to a school. I'm not inclined to do that given the charges.
I had 3 cases that weren't called. Can I give the jail number? The first one is Jonathan.
Hold on, let me,
one
thank you, Madam Interpreter, that's our last Spanish.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, I revoked the ROR, said bonded none. Okay, what case do you have?
The first one is Jonathan Treeland. It's soliciting without a permit, so it's a county case. Jail number is 22013848.
We saw him.
Oh, what happened?
One moment. Oh, she just said,
Thank you.
hold on. I know she stayed the bond on the VOP at 9. On the soliciting, I'm not too sure. It was 100?
I think so.
100.
Thank you. Second case I have is Washington Ramos da Silva. It is a DUI and expired DL. Inmate number is 22013870.
Bonded.
Thank you. No. The last one I have is Summer Skipper. She has 2 cases, and I don't have a case number for either one. Inmate number is 22013868.
She bonded as well. And also in reference to Mr. I'm so sorry, Purcell, he actually bonded. He may have refused, but he bonded and he was released. You scratch that.
All right, anything else we need to address?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. We're going off the record.
Bajito.
He's saying he can hear me, but that the volume is low.
All right, sir, please state your name.
Horacio Alfonso Barbosa León.
Horacio Alfonso Barbosa León.
And this is case number 2022MM004042AO. Sir, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. Do we have any victims waiting to come up? There's no one in the, no? No one, all right. You qualify? All right, sir, are you qualified for public defender? Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
No tengo cómo pagarlo.
I cannot pay for it.
All right, if you cannot afford an attorney, the court will appoint one at no charge to you. That's public defender, you qualify. We have a representative of the public defender's office here today who will, be your attorney for today. And of course, he won't be the attorney in your case. It'll be another attorney from the office of the public defender, but it's the office. You want me to appoint them? All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you.
Okay.
All right, some victims have come in. Do we have anybody here on this case on the Barbozo Leon? All right, I'll appoint the Office of Public Defender to represent. All All right, sir, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I've reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence from the alleged victim. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. Those are things like your toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush. It's not things like couch, living room furniture, TVs. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. That means in person, on the phone, through social media, or using your son to contact the alleged victim. I'm going to require that you not have any weapons or firearms. If you own any weapons or firearms, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. When you do that, please call the sheriff's substation in advance. Let them know that you're turning in weapons pursuant to a court order. Leave those weapons in the trunk of your car. Do not exit your vehicle at a sheriff's office holding any weapons. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor,
Yes.
as DCF was contacted, can I ask that defendant comply with any DCF plan that may be in place?
Yes, I'll additionally require, sir, that you comply with any plan that the Department of Children and Family Services puts in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
¿Uno puede preguntar algo?
May I ask something?
I've appointed an attorney to represent you, and the question that you asked might violate your right to not incriminate yourself. So I would encourage you to speak to your attorney. The Public Defender's Office has interpreters that can maintain the attorney-client privilege, and they'll be in touch with you so you can ask them any questions. All right, thank you. Please remove the headsets. All right, the defendant has the headsets on.
Sí. There is contact, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, please state your name.
Xiomara Esther Cruz Cancel.
Xiomara Esther Cruz Cancel.
Xiomara, con K.
Kiomara with a K.
And this is case number 2022 MM 4049 AO. Ms. Cruz, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence, and it does not appear that there's anybody here on your case. Did you qualify? You qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you?
Si es necesario, sí. Yo no me siento culpable ni nada de lo que pasó.
If it is necessary, yes. I do not feel that I am guilty for anything that happened.
All right, these are very serious charges that you've been arrested for. A public defender is an attorney licensed in the Florida, and they can help you guide you through the legal system because it can be confusing and complex. So I highly encourage you to accept the services of an attorney, but it's up to you.
Sí. Sí, claro.
All right, I'll appoint the
Yes,
Office of
of
the
course,
Public
yes.
Sorry. I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence from the alleged victim. You may return one time to your shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. This includes in-person, telephonically, social media, or using the children to contact them. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, that you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. When you turn over your weapons, please make sure you call the sheriff's substation in advance, let them know you're turning in weapons. Leave those weapons in the trunk of the car. State, is there anything about DCF because the children were present?
Yes, Your Honor, DCF is involved again.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to require that you comply with any orders that the Department of Children and Family Services puts in place for the protection of your children.
Your Honor, she does otherwise qualify for pretrial release, if you would consider that.
Oh, yes, she does. Okay. All right. So I'll place her on trial release as opposed to the $2,500 bond.
Yeah, Judge.
And the question. Tengo una pregunta.
I have a question.
All right, ma'am, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. And so there's, the public defender's office has interpreters and they'll talk to you and answer your questions. Please remove the headsets before you leave the door. All right, and we have one more.
Your Honor, this is the last interpreter case, but he has an attorney.
Okay.
Do you want us to put the headset on?
Yes. All right, the defendant has the headsets on.
There is contact, Your Honor.
All right, please state your name, sir.
José Rafael Batista Rivera.
José Rafael Batista Rivera.
And this is, we don't have a case number because it's an out-of-county warrant. So I'm not sure what to tell you for a case number, Madam Interpreter.
It's okay, Your Honor. I just write it down like an out-of-county warrant.
All right, counsel,
Thank
please
you.
enter your appearance.
Joe Castlefield on behalf of the defendant.
All right, and so this is a warrant out of, is it Seminole County? All right, and it looks like the judge has already set bond on those counts that are bondable, and then, of course, the one count is, none. So I'll stay the bond. Thank you.
Your Honor, just for the record, do you mind saying what those bonds are for the record?
It was, count one is none. Count two is 20,000. Count three is 20,000. And count four is 3,000.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe that was our last case requiring Spanish. Let me just make sure, is there anybody in the victim room that requires a Spanish interpreter? All right, nobody's indicated. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Please step up and tell me your name.
Carl Lewis Lovett.
All right, Mr. Lovett, we appointed the public defender to represent you yesterday, and the state asked for 24 hours to get the supplemental report. We've received that. I do find probable cause, and I will stay the bonds, count one, 5,000, count two, 100, count three, 100. Yes. All right, please state your name.
Tarvis E. Warden.
And Mr. Warden, we appointed the public defender yesterday, and I was waiting on the arrest affidavit, and I have been told it just got added. So it wasn't there this morning, but let me take a look at it, because we needed to see it in order to impose conditions. Okay, so, and yesterday there was argument about the bond in the trafficking case. I am going to stay the bond in the trafficking case at 100,000. In the other case on count 1, I believe that I had set bond in the amount of $10,000, and in count 2, it was also $10,000. And as additional, I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim, Miss Samaj Simpson. And then it occurred not at her location, it was at a friend's house. So state, was there any other requirements?
No weapons, no firearm.
Yes, I'm gonna require that you not be in possession of any weapons or firearms. And if you have any weapons or firearms, you must surrender them to the Orange County Sheriff within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. When you surrender any weapons or firearms, make sure that you let the sheriff's substation know in advance that you're coming to surrender weapons, and that you leave them in the trunk of your car. You had a question, Mr. Warden?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna ask you to ask your attorney first.
Your Honor, our client would request a lower bond on count 3. Would the court consider $50,000?
There was argument on it yesterday, and the same argument was made, and I am not inclined to reduce it at this time. Please state your name.
Jennifer Burr.
All right, Ms. Burr. You qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. That's your personal hygiene items, some clothes, those sorts of things. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means in person, telephonically, through social media, using other people to contact them. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor,
Yes.
she has 3 counts in her case.
All right, I'm going to set, on count 1, I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. Count 2 will be $150. Count 3, $150. Thank you. All right, please state your name. Are you Frederick Carroll? All right, Mr. Carroll, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you? All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. And you have 2 cases today. You have the felony charge and a misdemeanor charge. I reviewed both of them, and I do find probable cause. The felony case 2022 CF 6582 AO on count 1, contempt of court, violation of no contact order. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $5,000. On count 2, violation of pretrial release, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $100. Count 3, battery, domestic violence, I'm going to set bond in the amount of $100. In the second case, battery, domestic violence, I find probable cause, and I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000. I'm going to require, so there's still an injunction in place. All of the requirements of the injunction remain in effect. So that's no contact with the alleged victim. That's no contact in person, telephonically, through social media, no contact. You can't be walking down the street and go into her yard. That's fine. And then I showed that according to the police report, you don't reside together. I'm also going to require that you possess no weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. And so, Mr. Carroll, I want to make sure you understand, because the violation occurred, the injunction got that day, and then the violation occurred that day. I want you to understand that there is an injunction, a no contact order in place that was previously signed, and I am also putting that in place today. So you understand, right? No contact. All right, sir. Please step through the door.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Julios is mental health.
Does she qualify? Oh, there's no forms.
I'm sorry, who did you say?
So what do we usually do with the, can I appoint the PD temporarily?
I believe so, Your Honor, yes.
And can you waive her appearance? That way we don't continue to hold her in her plea and not guilty, waive her appearance, and that way we can proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so, we'll enter a plea of not guilty. And then let's do mental health PTR or a, and they were out of state. So, they were here visiting. So we'll do mental health PTR, RSEP bond in the amount of $2,500.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if the court is inclined to just set a monetary bond as opposed to mental health PTR, because it does take a few days, and then rarely do they qualify.
Okay.
So they may be stuck here longer than necessary, they just bond out. They would have just bounded out anyway, probably.
Okay, all right, then we'll set bond in the amount of $2,500. And so, if there was alcohol was related to the event, so I'm gonna require that she not consume any alcohol or, illegal drugs. And then also, she needs to comply with all the requirements of DCF. I don't know if Florida DCF was called, I know that the daughter said that the Texas Department of Family Services was involved in the case. So any requirements of DCF she needs to comply with.
Separate residence, no contact, anything like that, Your Honor?
Well, it was to the minor child. So, I don't know, so, because it was the stepdad and the minor child and the mom, and they were all here visiting. So, if I order her to maintain a separate residence, what happens with the minor child? Or that's up to Texas?
I wouldn't put it that way, but
if there was a stepdad involved that came with them on vacation, the stepfather would take the child back to Texas?
Okay. All right, so, I'll order her to maintain, until she's able to see a judge, I'm gonna order her to maintain a separate residence from the minor child. And have, no contact with the minor child.
One more thing, Your Honor, can you give me the case number, please?
Yes. It is 2022 CF 6937AO.
Thank you.
Please step up and tell me your name, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Eric Nyaga.
All right, Mr. Nyaga. Mr. Nyaga, you didn't complete any forms. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
No, I don't.
You don't want one?
I don't qualify for one.
Oh, you don't qualify, okay. All right, so Mr. Nyaga, you've been charged with aggravated assault, domestic violence, and battery domestic violence. I reviewed the affidavit, and I do find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $2,500 on count one, $100 on count two. I'm going to order that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the shared residence in order to retrieve your personal belongings in the presence of law enforcement. You contact them, they'll go with you.
We don't have a shared residence.
Oh, you don't? I thought that the report said it was a shared residence. With the two kids, no?
No, we've been separated for 2 years. She has a place and I have my place.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna still require you to maintain separate residences. I'm gonna order that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means in person, telephonically, social media, or using the children in order to contact her. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, thank you, sir.
Your Honor, DCF was also contacted.
Okay, and that you also comply with any plan that the Department of Children and Family Services puts in place for the protection of the children.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, please step forward and state your name.
Sylvie Paul Davidson.
Ms. Paul Davidson, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent you. You've been charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, domestic violence. I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means in person, telephonic, through social media, or using other people to contact them. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you own any weapons or firearms, you must turn them over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. Thank you. I allow our separate residents, you can go back one time in the presence of law enforcement.
Good morning.
Please state your name.
Wilfredo Robles.
All right, Mr. Robles. You've been charged with aggravated battery on a pregnant person, domestic violence. I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. I'm going to allow you to return one time to the shared residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. You have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means personal, social media, telephonic, or using your other child to contact her. I'm going to require that you comply with any plan that DCF puts in place for the protection of the minor children born and unborn. I'm going to require that you not possess any firearms or weapons. If you have any, you must turn them over to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. Huh? Oh, Mr. Robles, you did not qualify for a public defender, so that's why I didn't appoint the public defender to represent you, so you have to get your own private counsel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I believe the client before Mr. Robles, Sylvie Paul Davidson,
Uh-huh.
her husband's also been arrested. I listened to your order. I don't believe you said no contact with co-defendants, but I just wanted to, if the court wanted to see both defendants at the same time, to ask them about contact. I think the next section has Ronald Davidson, I believe is the husband.
So his was before hers.
She appeared before he did.
I know, but I mean, his allegation is back to June 6th. Hers was last night.
So would he be able to testify as the victim? The contact?
No, never mind. Hers goes back further than that. Well, I need to order her not to have any contact with the co-defendant. Well, they're not, it was two separate incidents, so they're not co-defendants.
Right.
Her alleged act of domestic violence occurred on May 23rd, and his allegedly occurred on June 6th. So it's not the same incident. So are they co-defendants? No, okay. All right, so I did order no contact, but, okay. All right, sir, please tell me your name.
Wendy Sanon.
All right, and you had no form. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender, Mr. Sanon? All right, sir, does he have it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is his call. We signed up, but I don't know.
All right, sir, do you have any dependents?
I know.
How often do you work?
I work every week.
And are you paid weekly?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much do you make each week?
I make $18 per hour.
And do you work 40 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
So $720 gross per week, no dependent. Okay, is it net or gross? How much do you bring home out of that $720?
Around 630, 640.
Okay, and that's every week?
Every week, yes, ma'am.
Okay, you don't qualify for the services of the public defender based on that. All right, sir, so, you've been charged with, you have, 4 counts. aggravated battery, battery assault, and battery domestic violence. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500 on count 1 and $100 on each of the other 3 counts. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means in person, telephonically, through social media, or using other people to contact her. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, thank you, sir.
Your Honor, Ms. Barrett is outside medical.
I'll temporarily appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Ms. Barrett. I'll set bond in the amount of $2,500 and require no contact with the victim and to surrender any weapons or firearms within 24 hours of release. They do have a joint residency, so I'm going to require that she maintain a separate residence and that she can return one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve her personal belongings, and that she comply with any DCF requirements for the 2 daughters.
We waive the appearance as well, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, please state your name.
Not Jerry Bush.
Okay. Ms. Bush, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll do so. And I couldn't tell from the police report if you all live together. I know.
Yes.
Okay, so you do live with your sister and your mom. All right, ma'am. I reviewed the affidavit and I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence, that you have no contact with your sister, and that's personally, telephonically, social media, or using your mom or your aunt, I think was also listed in the police report, using others to contact her. You can return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Okay.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Sean Kalaba.
What do you say? No form. Sir, did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
No, unless you
No?
think I'd need one.
Well, these are, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. These are serious charges, and I highly encourage you to be represented by counsel. The legal system can be complex and confusing. These are attorneys that are trained and licensed in the state of Florida, and they can help you navigate the system and explain to you what's happening and explain to you your rights in each and at every stage.
Okay, I understand. The reason that I said I didn't need one was because I was informed that the other person wouldn't be pressing charges, didn't want me arrested in the first place, so I just didn't think that I would need one. But if I should have one, then I absolutely will.
All right, sir, do you have any dependents?
No,
Are you currently employed?
no,
You have no employment? Do you have any source of income?
yes.
What, how much do you make and how often?
I made about 100,000 last year.
Yeah, okay, you don't qualify. Okay, I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm gonna set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You can return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means telephonic, excuse me, in person, social media, or using other people to contact. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Please state your name.
Reniel Davidson.
All right, Mr. Davidson, you do qualify for a public defender, but Ms. Paul Davidson also qualified, and I appointed the public defender's office. So I don't know if there's going to be a conflict or not. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. One of you will probably get the public defender's office, and one of you will get the regional conflict counsel, most likely. So you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. It was an arrest affidavit, so a judge previously found probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain separate residencies. I'm going to allow you to return one time to the joint residence to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with Ms. Paul Davidson. I'm going to require that you comply with any requirements that DCF puts into place for the minor child. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration. All right, please state your name.
Sarah Gregory.
All right, Ms. Gregory, while we're waiting for them to come in and get sworn in, you've been charged with battery, domestic violence. You did not complete a form. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
I have an attorney, Your Honor.
All right. All right, who, are both of you going to testify or just one?
Just one.
Okay, will you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about today should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
April Ward.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say it a little louder?
April Ward.
All right, state attorney.
Good morning, Ms. Ward. Odd question. How do you know the defendant?
My mom. She's my mom.
Do you live together?
No.
Would you like to have contact with her while this case is pending?
No.
Are you afraid of her?
Yes.
Has something like this happened before?
No, but we've had a lot of arguments.
And only if you know. Do you know if drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident?
No, but they might have been.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, ma'am, I understand from the police report that you're visiting your mom for the summer. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so, where are you residing at her house, or do you have another place to live? What's the living situation for the summer?
I was visiting my grandmother's house where my mom lives, and now I'm at my other grandmother's house.
Okay, so you have a safe place right now. You're not in your mom's house?
Yes.
Okay, and you're gonna stay at your grandma's for the rest of the summer?
Well, until I go back to Ohio.
Okay, and when's that, when you going back?
I'm not sure.
Okay, and is that okay with you, Grandma, that she remains with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right, then. So, Ms. Gregory, I reviewed the affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you have no contact with your daughter while this case is pending. That means in person, telephonically, using other people to contact her. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. She's indicated that she's not residing with you right now. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and that if you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I don't know if you noted, but she does qualify for pretrial release.
Oh, okay, I didn't. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, ma'am, you qualify for pretrial release. So as opposed to setting the bond, I'll release you under the pretrial release program. It's a supervised release program that you have to check in with PTR and comply with their requirements.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you both for coming in. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Please state your name.
Ricky Moore.
Mr. Moore, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. I reviewed the affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return to the residence one time in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the alleged victim. No contact means in person, telephonically, or using social media. I'm going to require that you not possess any weapons or firearms, and if you have any, you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. Please step forward and state your name.
Catherine Reyes.
Ms. Reyes, you qualify for a public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you? I encourage you to be represented by counsel. The legal process can be confusing and complex. The public defender is an attorney licensed in the state of Florida that can guide you through the process and explain your rights and obligations at each step.
No,
You don't want to be represented by counsel?
no,
You understand that you won't receive any special treatment if you're not represented by counsel, and you'll be held to the same standards as any other party who is represented by counsel. You look confused, so
I don't have income.
I didn't hear what you said.
I don't have any income. I'm trying to go for Social Security.
The public defender is appointed at no charge to you. That you're entitled to an attorney, and if you can't afford one, the court appoints one at no charge to you, and that's the public defender.
Okay.
All right, I'll appoint let the record reflect the defendant nodded her head yes. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter. You've been charged with battery, domestic violence. You qualify for PTR, so I'll release you under the pretrial release program. I'm going to require that you maintain a separate residence. You may return one time to the residence in the presence of law enforcement officers to retrieve your personal belongings. I'm going to require that you have no contact with the victim. And that's personally, it's in person, telephonically, or through social media. I'm going to require that you, excuse me, not possess any weapons or firearms. And if you have any, that you must turn them in to the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release. I'm going to require that while you're on PTR, that you not consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and that you submit to random urinalysis testing. Do you need 30 days before you begin testing?
Does alcohol stay in your system for 30 days?
No, ma'am.
Then no.
Okay, all right, and that's it. I'm ordering that because alcohol, the report says that alcohol was involved in the incident. All right, thank you, ma'am. Oh, let me see this one. Please state your name.
Kalen Valone.
All right, let me see if it got imaged. This one had no image. I wasn't able to review anything. Mr. Valone, you do qualify for a public defender. Yeah, there's no image. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you?
Yes, please.
All right, you've been charged with battery, touch, or strike. All right, I find probable cause. You do qualify for pretrial release, so I'll place you on the pretrial release program. I'm going to require, this is just listed as a battery, but it's mother-son. Wouldn't that be domestic violence?
It should be, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna require that you have no contact with the victim and that you maintain a separate residence. It's not clear from the police report if you reside together, but you may return one time to the residence to retrieve your personal belongings in the presence of law enforcement officers. I'm gonna require that you not possess any weapons or firearms. If you have any weapons or firearms, you must turn them into the Orange County Sheriff's Office within 24 hours of your release from incarceration.
Your Honor, Calixte Pierre was turned over to Osceola County. And Jones is a refusal.
Jones is a out-of-county warrant, so, let's look here. And it looks like the out-of-county warrant has bonds, so I'll stay them. Count 1, $5,000. Count 2, $5,000. Count 3, $1,000. Count 4, $1,000. Count 5, $1,000. Count 6, $1,000. Please state your name.
Darcy Cortez?
All right, Ms. Cortez, you're here on a violation of probation, and the judge has set the bond at none. I don't see that you have the public defender in the underlying case. Did you want to see if you qualify for a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you do qualify for a public defender, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in the VOP proceeding.
Thank you.
Did not. Please state your name.
Stephen Cruz.
All right, Mr. Cruz, you're here for a violation of probation. The judge in your case has set bond in the amount of none, which I will stay. And you did not qualify for a public defender. I don't know if you had a private attorney in the underlying case.
Can I speak?
You can, but understand that everything is being recorded and anything that you say can and will be used against you.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you really want to, you can.
Okay. My original probation officer, they never warned me that he left the probation office, And every time I would call to see who was my probation officer, it never told me or never gave me a court or went to check in. So I just found out 2 days ago who's my new PO, and she violated me. I never met her. And I just been working my butt off, man.
All right, sir. Unfortunately, at this very limited proceeding, I can't get into the facts of the case. But whenever you have it set already, I think in front of Judge Lattimore, yes. You already have you have an arraignment on the VOP set in front of Judge Lattimore on June 27th, 2022. And at that proceeding, you'll be able to explain more to Judge Lattimore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jaquel Dumas.
All right, Mr. Dumas, you've been charged with violation of community control. I'm sorry, what? And you do not qualify for a public defender. Hold on, my computer's freezing up. All right, and Judge Wooten has set your bond at none. I'll stay that. And you also have an in-jail arraignment already scheduled for June 27th on your VOP.
So, okay.
Please state your name.
Carlos Garcia.
Mr. Garcia, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you on your violation of probation and your new charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'll appoint the public defender to represent you in the VOP and in the new law violations. The new law violations are possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I reviewed the arrest affidavit. I do find probable cause. I'll stay the bonds on the new law violation at $1,000 count one, $500 count two. And on the VOP, I'll set bond in the amount of none, and you'll have a in-jail arraignment on the VOP on June 27th.
Jeffrey Garcia, ma'am.
Does he qualify? All right, Mr. Garcia, you qualify for public defender. Would you like me to appoint the public defender to represent you in your violation of community control cases and your new cases?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender, and it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases. All right, so the new law. I see. They're older cases. It just took a while for them to find you. They're on arrest warrants, but I guess it just took a while. All right, so you've been charged with destroying, damaging, altering a monitoring device and grand theft third degree. And that is in case number 2021 CF 2268AO. I'll stay the bonds at $1,000 each. And then in 2021 CF 2270AO, you've been charged with failure to report to the sheriff's office and register. I'll set bond in the amount of $1,000 and require you to report to the sheriff's office and complete your registration within 24 hours of release.
Yes, ma'am.
And then in all right, on the violation of community control, the bond is at none, and I'll stay the bond at none, and you'll have an in-jail arraignment on the violation of community control on June 27th, 2022.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Your Honor, he appears to have two cases with violation of community control. The second is 2019 CF 16865.
That's the one I was just talking about.
Then there's another one, 20 CF 11460.
Okay, and that in 2020 CF 11460AO, that bond, if for violation of community control, is also set at none, which I will stay, and you'll have an in-jail arraignment on June 27th.
I have one case. I don't have two cases. I only have one case.
All right, please state your name. Oh, sorry, you can move on.
Thank you, sir.
Langford Stephanie.
All right, Ms. Langford, I see that you were represented by Mr. Yulo in the two underlying cases. You do qualify for a public defender. Did you want me to appoint a public defender in the new case and the VOPs? Or are you going to continue to use Mr. Yulo in the underlying cases?
I want to do a public defender right now for every case, just in case.
Okay. All right, I'll appoint the public defender in the new law violation, which is 2022 CF 6948AO, and in the two violation of probation cases, which is 2020 CF 10056 and 2019 CF 10115. So on the new law violation, you've been charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of cocaine. I'll state the bonds, and count 1 is $100, count 2 is $100, count 3 is $1,000. On the two VOPs, the bond is at none, and you will have a in-jail arraignment on the violation of probation on June 27th in front of Judge Lattimore. All right, thank you all. We're off the record.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
we usually do the 33-day motions in the morning as well.
Oh, I thought you were handing me something to sign. All right, State of Florida versus Jesse Beam, 22 CF 5361AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Marcus Casita, 2022 CF 3643AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Trevor Donaway, 2022 CF 5548AO.
Denied, information was filed.
State of Florida versus Juan Felix, 2022 CF 5215AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Gordon, 2022 CF 5343AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Johnson, 22 CF 5435AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Lewis, 22 CF 5504AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Lewis, different Lewis, 22 CF 5398AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Ortiz Sierra, 2022 CF 5426AO.
Denied, information was filed.
State of Florida versus Rumpf, 22 MM 2988AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
State of Florida versus Simon, 22 CF 5408AO.
Denied, information was filed.
Thank you. And do you want to start up at 12? Does that work for everybody? It's 10. We're off the record.
Hello? There. Hang up.
Are you with us?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Have you been previously sworn today?
No, Your Honor.
If you would, please raise your right hand to be sworn.
Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully translate from Arabic to English and English to Arabic to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I.
Thank you, and your name, please?
What Marakshi?
I'm sorry?
What
Thank you. Counsel, can you hear her okay over there?
It's coming in sort of muddled, Your Honor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of an issue over here, too. I don't know if maybe you can... Correct. I don't know if maybe you can just pull the phone a little bit away from your mouth, because it's a little muffled on our ends. But we're going to try it. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Sadie Massa.
Yeah, we're not getting you through real well. If you would please just stand by, we're going to disconnect and call you back. We're going to try it a different way.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And that came through clearly. Uh-huh. That part came through clearly, though. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Smith, can you hear her better?
That does sound better, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
سيدي مساء الخير، اذكر لنا اسمك بالكامل وتاريخ زيادتك.
أحمد فؤاد محمود مصطفى.
تاريخ زيادة. تاريخ سنة الازدياد.
مش سامع. نو فويس. مش سامع.
فقش تولسي. Your Honor, is it in Arabic, Moroccan Arabic, so I can adjust my Arabic?
أتكلم عربي.
Okay. ما هو تاريخ ازديادك اليوم والشهر والسنة بالزياد؟
مش سامع كويس.
He's indicating he can't hear you.
ما سمعتش كويس.
أنت اتولدت إمتى؟ هو إيه تاريخ ازديادك؟
30 أغسطس 30 أغسطس 1955.
Ahmed Fuad Mahmoud Mustafa, born August 30, 1955.
Sir, you have been picked up as the result of an arrest warrant.
سيدي يعني هما الشرطة اعتقلتك لأنه كان في مذكرة اعتقال من قاضي ضدك.
The charges within that warrant are scheme to defraud and insurance fraud.
أنا ما أعرفش.
Sir, please do not talk about the case. Just listen to the instruction from the court.
عشان مصلحتك ما تتكلمش على القضية، فقط استمع للقاضية أو للمحكمة. إذا أنت التهم اللي اعتقلوك عشانها هي محاولة النصب والاحتيال على التأمين.
All right, just listen.
فقط اسمع ما تتكلمش.
We don't want you to say something that can be used against you in the future.
احنا مش عاوزين انك تقول حاجة ممكن يتم استعمالها ضدك في المستقبل.
بس أنا عايز أدافع عن نفسي، نفسي أدافع عن نفسي، أنا ما أعرفش إيه الموضوع أصلاً، أنا مش عارف إيه.
I don't understand what's happened. I don't know what's going on.
Sir, if you will stand by, I will explain it to you, but you have to let me finish.
يا سيدي إذا أنت توقفت عن الكلام وخليتني أكمل راح أشرح لك إيه اللي حصل.
So I need you to remain quiet, okay?
لازم تسكت ما تتكلم.
Okay, he just indicated that he's zipping it shut. You have been picked up as the result of an arrest warrant.
إذا أنت تم اعتقالك، الشرطة اعتقلتك لأنه كان في مذكرة من قاضي لاعتقالك.
The charges in that warrant are scheme to defraud and insurance fraud.
إذا التهم إنه أنت قمت بالاحتيال والنصب على التأمين وكذلك محاولة النصب والاحتيال وخداع التأمين.
It is regarding a slip and fall case that allegedly was filed against Publix supermarkets.
إذا هو بخصوص القضية اللي تم رفعها ضد يعني المحل.
Probable cause was found when the warrant was issued.
إذا كان هناك طبعا سبب كافي لإيقافك على التهمة.
I have reviewed the warrant and I agree with the finding.
أنا اللي أعطيت مذكرة اعتقاد الأمر بإنه يعتقلوك وأنا اللي مضيت على المذكرة.
Bond to be set on count 1 in the amount of $10,000.
إذا بالنسبة للتهمة الأولى الكفالة عشان تطلع هي $10,000.
Count 2 in the amount of $150.
وبالنسبة للتهمة رقم 2 التهمة الثانية الكفالة عشان تطلع لازم هي قدرها $150.
You are not to return to any Publix supermarket grocery stores.
إذا أنت ممنوع من إنك تروح أو ترجع لأي محل public.
Additionally, you are to surrender your passport.
وبالإضافة كذلك لازم تعطي جواز سفرك.
If you have the ability to bond out, you may.
عندك الإمكانية بإمكانك إنك تدفع الكفالة.
If you do not have the ability to bond out, then your next hearing date will be set.
إذا أنت مش قادر تدفع مبلغ الكفالة فراح يحددوا لك تاريخ للجلسة المقبلة.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
شكرا سيدي، ممكن تقعد دلوقتي.
Is he surrender the password to the clerk or to the sheriff's office?
To the clerk.
Your Honor, I missed the
أنت
bond on
تعطي
count 2.
جواز سفرك لكاتب المحكمة.
All right, Madam Translator, thank you for your services.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day.
You too, thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jaime Sotomayor, certified federal interpreter, already sworn today.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Judge Arendas. We are in Fort Echo and Osceola County doing initial appearances. So I will be piping you through the courtroom so that the jail can hear you. First
Yes, ma'am.
case I have for you, the gentleman has two cases. It's case number 22 CF 1663 and 22 CF 1745. Raul Cedeno Rosado. Yes, ma'am.
Vamos a renunciar a la lectura de cargos.
Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Muy bien, buenas tardes, señor. Su nombre y fecha de nacimiento.
Raúl Cedeno Rosado, 10 de febrero del 92.
Raúl Cedeno Rosado, February 10th, 1992.
And sir, has the attorney discussed with you what the charges are that you've been picked up on?
Muy bien, la abogada ha discutido con usted cuáles son los cargos por los cuales usted está detenido. Yes.
The court has reviewed the charging affidavit.
Usted revisó la declaración de cargos
We've also reviewed the arrest warrant.
y también hemos revisado la declaración de arresto.
Please don't say anything, sir.
Por favor, no hable por el momento. Could we have the microphone muted?
Yes.
Much better.
We get a lot of background noise when it's not muted. Probable cause was found when the arrest warrant was issued.
Muy bien, se encontró causa probable en el momento que se emitió la orden de arresto.
Upon my review of the warrant, I do concur with its finding.
Y al haber revisado la orden de arresto, yo estoy de acuerdo con la determinación.
Although a bond was given by the judge who issued the warrant, that's not appropriate.
Aunque el juez que emitió la orden de arresto impuso fianza, entiendo que no es apropiado,
Given the charge.
dado la naturaleza del cargo.
Bond on the first charge will be set at 0.
La fianza por el primer cargo va a ser 0, no hay fianza.
With regard to the grand theft, it'll be set in the amount of $500.
Y con respecto al hurto mayor, se va a dar por $500.
He's not to return to the Liberty Inn,
No debe regresar al Liberty Inn,
not to have any contact with any victims,
no debe tener ningún contacto con ninguna de las víctimas
and no contact with any witnesses.
y ningún contacto con ninguno de los testigos.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I may, State did file a pretrial detention motion in this case. I would just ask that that's
I just
given.
set it at 0, counsel.
Okay.
Le acabo de dar fianza 0, así que gracias, eso es todo.
Thank you, Honor. Thank you, sir. Have a seat.
Muy bien, se puede sentar, caballero.
Do you mind making an announcement to see if we have anyone else needing your services that didn't hit my radar?
Yes, ma'am. ¿Hay alguien más que necesite servicios de intérprete que no se haya identificado todavía? Por favor, levante la mano.
That you actually need the services, not that you want them.
Es que necesite los servicios, no que prefiera tenerlos.
Is it yes or no, counsel?
He said he speaks English so-so.
All right. Well, don't speak any English at all if you're going to use the services of the interpreter.
Muy bien, si va a usar los servicios de intérprete no pueden decir nada en inglés. Ok,
State your name, please.
¿tu nombre completo?
Edgardo Millán.
Edgardo Millán.
All right, give me a second. I need to find his paperwork.
So reset from yesterday, Your Honor.
Fue una posposición de ayer.
And your date of birth, sir?
Fecha de nacimiento,
13 de diciembre del 84.
December 13, 1984.
Sir, you've been picked up as a result of an arrest warrant.
Usted está detenido por una orden de arresto.
The charge in that warrant is a domestic battery.
El cargo en esa orden de arresto fue por agresión doméstica.
Probable cause was found when the warrant was issued.
Se encontró causa probable cuando se emitió la orden.
I have reviewed it and I concur with the finding.
Yo he revisado esa orden y estoy de acuerdo con esa determinación.
You do not qualify for pretrial release.
No cualifica para ser liberado anterior a juicio.
Bond to be set in the amount of $1,500.
La fianza se va a imponer en $1,500.
You're not to return to 1402 Amberwood Boulevard.
No debe regresar al 1402 de Amberwood Boulevard.
You're not to have any contact with Wanda Centron.
No puede tener ningún contacto con Wanda Cintrón.
No contact means no in-person contact.
Ningún contacto significa ningún contacto ni en persona,
No third-party contact.
ni a través de...
No social media contact.
ni a través de medios sociales,
No telephone contact.
ni por teléfono,
No contact whatsoever.
ningún contacto en lo absoluto.
Do you understand?
¿Usted entiende eso?
Yes or no?
¿Sí o no?
Sí.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Additionally, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Además de eso, no puede poseer ninguna arma de fuego ni otra arma peligrosa.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, eso es todo.
And Ms. Smith, was that the only one?
That's it, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good afternoon.
Your Honor, could I have that case number for Millán?
22 MM 1068.
1068. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cesar Silva Fernandez. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Cesar Silva, 12/29/89.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up on a warrant out of Highlands County in case number 16001102 CFMA for a violation of probation. There's no bond on that, sir. They'll be notified that you're here and ready for pickup. Thank you. Cedric Williams. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Cedric Williams, September 26,
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up on a warrant out of Hardy County in case 2019652. There's a bond of $11,500. It's actually a purge amount. So if you have the ability to pay that, you may be released. If not, they'll be notified that you're here and ready for pickup.
Okay.
Thank you. Damian Kinlock. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Damian Kenlock, September 2nd, 1991.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up on a warrant out of Polk County for MM 21002607WH. There is a $1,000 bond on that. If you have the ability to bond out, you can. If not, they'll be notified that you're here and ready for pickup.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Jarvis Hill, VFOSC. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please. Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up with regard to a warrant. The charge in that warrant is selling of cocaine within 1,000 feet of a specific area, a municipal park. Probable cause was found when the warrant was issued. I have read it and I concur with the finding. Bond to be set in the amount of $7,500. You're not to return to the scene. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. It also appears that you are out on probation for 21 CF 1616. Court will be revoking that and setting it at 0.
That was before I was on probation. This came out, I'm on probation.
Mr. Hill, your attorney is welcome to file a motion with the court. That's the ruling today. Thank you. Angel Lopez Velasquez. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Angel Lopez Velasquez, 052290.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of a warrant for violation of probation or community control in case number 15MM3863. There is a $5,000 bond on that. Additionally, there is another charge of transient residential failure to report within 48 hours in 22 CF 1531. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500 with caution that you need to follow the requirements. You understand? Thank you, sir. Rafael Pena Cabrera. Oh, I'm sorry, Valdemir Rafael Pena Cabrera.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, he's in the hospital. If we could reset for 24 hours after release.
And do you want to? It's a no bond, it's a warrant.
Your Honor, we'll wait.
Okay. It's a warrant for violation of probation with zero bond. That way he can go ahead and have a hearing date set.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Mark Antonio Sacco. I just skipped one. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Mark Antonio Sacco, February 9th, 1989.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of a warrant for failure to appear for jury trial in case 21 CF 1359. There's no bond on that, sir. Thank you. Claudio Galaretta. I got you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please. Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of a grand theft auto charge. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find there's sufficient probable cause. Bond to be set in the amount of $1,000. It also appears that you're out on bail for 21 MM 986. The court will not be taking any action on that today. Thank you. Jessica Kessler. Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Jessica Kessler, January 14th, 1991.
Ma'am, you've been picked up as a result of battery, simple touch, or strike. The court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find there's sufficient probable cause. You qualify for pretrial release with a bond. That bond will be set in the amount of $1,500. You're not to have any contact with Jacob Matthews. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. May I just,
Hold on, I'm not done. You're also not to return to the Daisy Inn. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items. Now, before you say anything, keep in mind everything is being recorded and it can be used against you. With that in mind, did you want to continue to say something?
I was just going to ask for an escort just to get my belongings.
You've got it.
Thank you.
Larissa Lambert?
Your Honor, she is in detox.
All right, we'll reset her for tomorrow. Clifford Lawrence? Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Clifford Lawrence, 7/21/70.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill, possession of weapon or ammo by a Florida convicted felon, and concealed weapon. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. You qualify for pretrial release with a bond. Bond on count 1 will be set in the amount of $5,000. Count 2, $4,000. Count 3, $500. You're not to return to the racetrack located at 5985 West Earl Bronson Memorial Highway. You're not to have any contact with Jeffrey Kirkley. and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Thank you. Lazaro Macias.
He is in detox, Your Honor. Be a reset for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am, I'm just writing his name on my Post-it notes. Sean Phelps.
Your Honor, he is in self-harm. If we could bring him up last.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jacob Strickland.
He is present and approaching.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Jacob Strickland, September 23rd, 1990.
Thank you. Mr. Strickland, you've been picked up as a result of trespass of occupied structure or conveyance. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. You qualify for direct pretrial release. The court will grant that with the condition that you are not to return to the Ramada Kissimmee Gateway located at 7470 West Earl Bronson Memorial Highway. Thank you. Amaryllis Torres. Good afternoon, ma'am. State your name and date of birth, please.
Amaryllis Torres, December 11th, 1986, Your Honor.
Ms. Torres, you've been picked up as a result of battery, touch, or strike. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Sir, would you raise your right hand to be sworn, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. State your name, please.
Gregory Lalka.
Mr. Lalka, this is a time that you can indicate to the court what it is that you would like to see with regard to release restrictions. It is not a time to talk about what did or did not happen. I've got no control over whether the state pursues the charges or not. It's just with regard to release restrictions. With that in mind, what would you like me to know?
I'm fine if we have a very big home. I'm fine if she comes home as long as we meet our financial responsibilities because we own a home together. Other than that, I don't really have anything else.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to allow her to come home at this time.
Okay.
Going to need a little more cooling off, okay?
Okay.
So her attorneys can file a motion with the trial judge, and the trial judge can make that determination, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you qualify for pretrial release with a bond. That bond will be set in the amount of $1,500. You're not to return to 2318 Nuthatch Street. You can go back one time with the assistance of law enforcement to obtain your personal items only. And you're to have no contact with Gregory Lalka. No contact means no in-person contact, no third-party contact, no social media contact, no telephone contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can have a seat. Thank you, Mr. Lalka. Joshua Rosario?
Your Honor, I believe Ms. Abraham is there in the courtroom for him.
Yes, ma'am. All right, counsel, you gotta get closer to the microphone before you start talking, or the court reporter can't pick you up. So may I have appearance for defense now?
Mary Ibrahim on behalf of Mr. Rosario.
Thank you. Sir, state your name and date of birth, please.
Joshua Rosario, June 16th, 1987.
Thank you. Sir, you've been picked up as a result of an out-of-county warrant. That warrant is out of Alachua County for stalking, follow, harass, cyber stalking another, aggravated assault with weapon without intent to kill. Counsel, the bond is set at $75,000. What would you like me to hear?
Judge, I don't have an affidavit for this case, so I'm not sure if Your Honor was able to obtain one. That's why I came to the court instead of the jail. We have looked on the clerk's side, we've looked everywhere, and there's no affidavit for probable cause shown anywhere. I wasn't sure if Your Honor was able to obtain one.
What I have is a sheet that confirms that the Osceola County Sheriff's Office confirmed the warrant before it was served.
The argument we would have is, how could we concur with the probable cause or argument if there is no document explaining that? We were also asking, understandably, typically judges do not lower bonds in other counties. In this specific case, it is an egregious amount of $75,000 for an F3 and an M1. County is quite far, So we would be asking if the court would be willing to at least reduce the bond to something a little bit more affordable to him and his family for now until we can continue to move forward with the case. From my understanding, Mr. Rosario does not have any criminal history.
I'm not going to be able to do that today, counsel. You'll have to take it up with the trial judge who actually issued the warrant. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you know how long the transport will be for him to get there? Or like, have they instated back the 7 days or?
I have no idea. It depends on when they want to come and pick him up. So they'll be notified that he's here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
That's all I have. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sir, you can have a seat. Ms. Smith, I have one more that's a private attorney as well.
Is this Mr. Stuart Mitchell?
It is. Apparently, nobody's available to come to court today. So I'm going to get him on the phone as an exception. Oop, I forget I got to dial 9. This is Judge Arendas. I'm looking for the attorney who is needing to handle the initial appearance in Mr. Stuart Mitchell's case. Yes, ma'am. And then I have to go through reception?
Hi, Judge Arendas. This is Ian Tudor.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Firstly, I wanted to thank you for allowing me to appear remotely, telephonically.
Now, counsel, it is an exception. Do not make a habit of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Now, if you'll let me get back to the cases, please. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Nicholas Stewart, September 26, 2003.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, you have been picked up as a result of an arrest warrant that was issued with armed robbery with a firearm, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and petty theft. Probable cause was found when the arrest warrant was issued. This court has reviewed it and concur with the finding. Counsel, do you wish to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Just would like to state that I haven't seen the police report yet. I can't view it on the clerk's site, so I can't speak to the probable cause. Since probable cause has been established by the court, I would just like to advocate briefly for the setting of a reasonable bond for Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart is only 18 years old. He's in high school. He's lived in the community essentially his entire life since he was about 3 years old. Because of that, he has heavy ties to the community. He works at a family business. He lives at home with his mother, stepfather, and multiple younger siblings. He's responsible for household chores and helping with the family. He often babysits his younger siblings. And I think most importantly, he has no criminal history whatsoever. So I believe that it would be appropriate for the court to exercise its discretion and to establish a reasonable bond. I understand that there's a bond set for 3 of the counts, but not for the robbery with a firearm. Understanding that according to the bond schedule, by default is a no bond offense. But I think the situation with Mr. Stewart as a young man with no prior criminal history, it would be appropriate to set a reasonable bond. That's all.
Thank you, counsel. Obviously, he does not qualify for pretrial release. As counsel stated, there is already bond established with regard to 3 of the charges. There's not a bond established as to the robbery with a firearm. I will be maintaining that bond at 0 for now, counsel. You'll need to file a motion, have a full-on evidentiary hearing with the trial court. As for count 2, it'll be $5,000, count 3, $10,000, count 4, $100. He is not to return to 5136 Ponce de Leon Road. He's to have no contact with any of the victims or co-defendants, and no weapons or firearms. Anything further, counsel?
No, Your Honor, that's all I had. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. You can have a seat.
Mr. Phelps is present now, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
He is present and approaching, and if we could waive the readings, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Did you already discuss with him the charges, counsel?
I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. State your name and date of birth, please.
Sean Phelps, date of birth is February 11th, 1994.
Mr. Phelps, do you understand what charges you've been picked up on?
Yes.
Thank you. Court has reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find there is sufficient probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release. Additionally, this particular charge does not qualify for a bond, so it will remain at 0. In the event that you are released, you are not to return to 5665 Mayaka Street. You're to have no contact with the victim, no contact with the victim's family, and no contact with persons under the age of 18. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Smith, does that take care of everyone over there?
That is everyone.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too, thank you.
Thank you to all of my patrons, members, and supporters. You are the reason that I am able to upload new Bond Courts daily. All members and patrons receive access to the Bond Court Discord server. Please send me a message on Patreon or leave a comment on YouTube if you are unable to join the server. Thank you all for your support.